This past weekend, I binge watched Haunting of Hill House for the very first time, and I have so many thoughts, but I just want to share a few of my favorite things about the show. The show truly is absolutely special. If y'all can like really stomach some horror and really highly recommend watching this show. I have been hearing my boy Alex in the Escape Pod really singing his praises for a while, and I finally gave it a watch. And after finally watching all 10 episodes, I can say that this show really just does not miss. I don't think there's a single episode I watched where I felt like there was like a weak moment or a weak episode in the entire series. The strongest character in my eyes, maybe probably my favorite character of everybody, is definitely Nell. Especially anytime Victoria Pedretti was on screen playing Nell, she was just absolutely insane. It was an all-time performance, one of the best I've ever seen. And because of how much I loved her performance, I think it's easy to say that my favorite episode is probably episode 5. Seeing Nell's whole storyline, seeing her meet her husband, who was a sleep technician, which made perfect sense. Her performances while she's under sleep paralysis, and then ending with the twist of her being the bed neck lady was just all just so excellent. I did also still really enjoy the characters of Shirley and Theo. Most of the main characters kind of had their own episode where they were talking about their backstory and their experiences that they had. And those two were also episodes that I really loved. I love seeing the backstory of Theo, seeing what she does, and seeing her power. Basically, her powers, her superpower that she has, which I found was really interesting. And I bet some people watched it and were like, "Oh, she has like superpowers," so I probably took some people out of it. But it didn't take me out of it. It's still a supernatural show at the end of the day. So I still enjoyed that aspect of it, and like it's another great level to that character. And I love the character of Shirley also. Her whole backstory with her, her experiences at the house, and then her whole backstory of how she got into doing her job. I thought was all very interesting, and it's something that you don't see highlighted in media much. Like it was such a fascinating job that she has. Like even when they were like when she was going through Nell's body, and she was like, "Oh, I have to go through this bag that's in her body." Like that was all just so fascinating to me. And speaking of Shirley, there is a moment in her backstory where she's doing the makeup on Nell's dead body, and then it cuts to her during the makeup on her of doing Nell's makeup on her wedding. And when that happened, I literally had to pause. I'm like, I can't believe they just did that transition. That is just one of those. It's just another one of the things about the show that is just so crazy that they just take those leaps and make those connections in the craziest way, and I love that so much. And like another thing I just love about the show is the way the story was told. The story was just told in bits and pieces with a lot of time jumps, and I adored it. Mike Flanagan, every episode basically just gave us some puzzle pieces, just a handful of puzzle pieces. And as we're fitting everything together, the picture becomes a little bit more clear each episode. And the way the story was told, at least in the first 5 episodes, definitely reminded me of Weapons. We basically got to see everybody's like perspective and point of view, like one episode at a time. We would see like Shirley's perspective, then we see Theo, then we see Nell, and then we see Luke's. And then again, that was very reminiscent of Weapons. Like for Weapons, they basically will show a title card of the character's name, and then they go through their experiences. And then as the movie goes on, each experience is starting to kind of coalesce and then fall in together to form one coherent story. And then it all leads up to the episode where they talk about the mom and her experiences, which was definitely reminiscent of like Alex's, like when Alex's name popped up on Weapons. That was one where everyone's like, okay, we're finally going to get a little bit more answers as to what the hell is going on. And oddly enough, the person who was really behind all of this, the main villain for Olivia, for the mom, and for Alex was just a crazy redheaded lady with some really crazy ulterior motives. There's just so much incredible stuff about this show. Another thing I really loved was in Luke's episode 4, where he basically breaks out of rehab to go after his friend Joey, and then he starts to have withdrawal symptoms. He starts feeling really cold, his arms are feeling really stiff. But he didn't use, but at the end of the day, he was having withdrawal symptoms from Nell because he was going through all this around the time where she unalived herself. And that was such a beautiful thing where like I was watching this all happen, and I was like making the connection that like he's going through withdrawals of the twin thing. He's going through the withdrawals and the twin like sympathy pains of losing his twin. And I thought that was just so beautiful. Like I caught on to it like halfway through the episode when he's like, I'm so cold, I can't get over this. And I knew that it was leading up to Nell's death. And I'm like, wow, that is just beautiful. And there was one more thing I want to highlight. I was texting with Alex as I was watching the show, and I watched episodes 1 through 5 through one night. And then he texted me saying that episode 6 was his favorite episode. And man, that one really does not disappoint. And I just love the use of these really long one takes in this show, especially the one like huge standoff family fight in the funeral home. Like I didn't time it or anything, but I felt like it felt like a 20-30 minute one shot. It is just masterful filmmaking. Once again, I cannot recommend this show enough. Once the show got cooking, once I was able to look at each actor and actress and recognize who everybody was, which was again incredible casting in that respect either, because I could look at the kid and look at the adult and actually tell who is who. Just incredible casting. But this show is just phenomenal. It's so special. and I could not recommend watching it more, not only for spooky season, but just a regular watch because it is a horror like project, but it's also just an incredible drama about family and grief and trauma. It is just so, so, so excellent, and I highly recommend you go watch it.